I was in complete fear for my life because of him. And at this point, I thought if he comes back, like he's going to kill me this time. It's like chaos. It's just fight or flight for forever. You can't heal when you're in fight or flight. You just can't. The abuse and the violence, I mean, I started to have like awful night terrors.
And this is in recovery at 10 years sober?
This is at almost 10 years sober. Yeah. It's important that people see that it's not all butterflies and rainbows. You have to go through it. And to go through it, you have to feel it.
Sometimes I make mistakes in my life. Life goes on and on and on and on and on. Yeah. Hey, I got wisdom from my papa. He ain't have a lot of money, but he taught me how to keep the perfect posture. So folding under pressure, that ain't something that I'm about to. Crabs in the barrel, I'm just trying to be a lobster. I hit my cousin, told him to call. It's been 12 years and I ain't heard from him at all. Had a little fallout over some money. Damn, ain't it funny how the smartest people be beefing like they some dummies? But I hope you doing swell now. Hope your family well now.
Welcome to Primary Purpose with Pej. I am your host, Pej, and today we sit down with Allison Smith, a domestic violence survivor who chose faith, healing, and empowerment after living through experiences that could have broken her spirit. Allison's story isn't about victimhood, it's about courage. It's about learning how to survive one day at a time, reclaim identity, and rebuild life after trauma. Through faith and commitment to daily growth, she has transformed her pain into purpose, using her voice to inspire others who may still be suffering in silence. This conversation is raw, honest, and deeply human. It explores what healing really looks like after abuse, how faith can anchor someone in their darkest moments, and why sharing your story can become a lifeline for others. If you or someone you love has ever felt trapped, afraid, or unsure of how to move forward, this episode is for you. Please welcome to the show, Allison Smith. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you here finally. We've talked about it for a while, and here we are.
Here we are.
And I've always, before we get started, I've always admired you in our community, our recovery community. You are a very powerful force and lady, and I always like to hear the way that you speak. I know it comes from the heart rather from the head, and we've developed a good friendship. So tell us, who is Allison?
I just want to first of all thank you again for having me. This is very, very cool. And my name is Allison Smith, and I grew up in a family with complete brokenness. My parents got divorced when I was 5, and my sister was 3, and I have one little sister. And my mom has been an alcoholic since I was born, before I was born. And my dad is just a really entitled, just not nice individual. So there was a lot of, chaos in my life growing up. So growing up in brokenness, I never felt a part of. I felt like I was the black sheep of my own family. I never felt included. And it was a really lonely place to be, and so my parents got divorced, and it was like my parents made me, my mom, she would make us pick, dad's weekend. And my first memory of my mom, when they got divorced, was she was looking at my 3-year-old sister, and she was just completely drunk and sobbing her eyes out. I mean, just uncontrollable sobbing. And she's holding my sister's little shoulders. My sister's 3. And she's begging her, and she's saying, please don't go. Please don't leave me. And I am looking at this situation, and I'm like, this woman is just lost her mind. But I love her, and I have compassion for her. But I just needed to get away from that crazy. And as much as I wanted to protect my little sister, I left, and I went with my dad. And that's something that I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself for, but it was a choice I had to make to save myself. So, fast forward a few years, and I'm kind of living with my dad. I'm about 12 years old.
Where were you living? What part, in California?
Yeah, California. So I grew up in Huntington Beach, and then my dad, when they got divorced, my dad moved to Brea. So, and he got remarried. And so I was about 12 years old, and I had a nightmare or something. And I was sleeping over at my dad's house. This was when this was after, was it before? This was before he must have been like in between him being remarried. Like they were on and off. So he was, he was back in Huntington Beach and no wife, no girlfriend, like no nothing. And so I was staying with him because my mom was just, my mom and I just did not get along at all. And so I woke up in the middle of the night because I had like a bad dream or something. And I, as any child does, like they go into their parents' bedroom and seek comfort, safety. And so I crawled into bed with my dad and I was for the first time in my whole life and by my dad. And so after that, I went back to my mom's house and I told my mom, I said, Mom, Dad touched me. And her first reaction was, what do you mean? And so I went into depth of like what happened and how it made me feel. I didn't feel safe. And she said, well, he was probably just dreaming. And I said, okay. And she was like, yeah, it was no big deal. He's probably just dreaming. Immediately, I am completely feeling out of control because nobody sees me. Nobody's listening to me. Nobody hears me. And so I buried it. I buried that so far down. And, it's incredible that I forgot all about it. And I'll fast forward later into when that all came back up. But that's what we do, when we get hurt that's what I do is I bury things like that. So at age 15, I had my first drink. And at age 16, I had used my first drug. And
what was that?
that was methamphetamine, baby.
At what age? 16?
Yeah, I was about 16 or 17. I don't remember exactly which one. So the girls that I had always had trouble making friends with girls. And, I came at them with like as much love and as much kindness as I could.
So what did you become? Just one of the guys?
Yeah, well, I just dated the guys.
Yeah.
But
not tomboy chick, just
no, I was really girly.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just was never accepted by them, and so I had to run with crowds that I wouldn't normally run with because they accepted me more so than like the girls that like I related to.
This is in HB?
This is in Huntington Beach, at Marina High School.
Okay.
Class of 2002. And so I struggled. I really struggled. And so finally I found, a group of girls that somewhat accepted me. And at age 16 or 17, I forget which one exactly it was, one of the girls was like, oh, like tonight we're going to do something really fun. And I was like, oh, what are we going to do? There's 8 of us ish, about 8 of us. And she's like, yeah, we're going to do crystal meth. And I was like, what's that? Like, I had no idea, but like, I was intrigued and I was like, okay, like, let's do it. Let's go.
No questions asked.
No questions asked. I said, I got the place.
Yeah.
So I had it. My dad owned a glass and mirror shop and in Huntington Beach, and I had a key. And I said, well, I got the place. And she's like, perfect. So we all showed up, and after that first hit, my life completely changed in every way.
I'm an old tweaker from around the way. I understand.
Yes, you know it. You know it.
You went to go do glass in a glass and mirror shop.
100%. That can get really weird real quick. So anyways, the night went on and everything. I mean, I felt like this like confidence that I had never felt before.
Yeah.
It was just like this overwhelming sense of feeling like you belonged and confident and calm and all of the things. It was the most amazing feeling. And as the night went on, we just did typical teenage things, nothing crazy. Went to Del Taco, hung out with our friends. And as the sun started to come up, my first thought was, the girls were all going to bed and everybody was kind of winding down. And I was like, well, where do we get more? Yeah. Let's get more. And my girlfriend's like, oh no, we're done. And I was like, oh, we're not done.
Yeah.
I'm not done. Like
you guys are.
Yeah, you guys might be, but I am not done.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no, we're done. And I was like, okay, well, and the first thing I could do was to find more and figure out that whole thing. And so I did, and my drinking and using career just started to take off in high school. I barely graduated. I was a straight A student before, and then I barely graduated. I was the type of tweaker that that I thought nobody knew about, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't the one that like would go and clean out their whole car in, a matter of days, take the whole car apart and whatever. I don't know, just like those tweaky projects,
So what type were you?
I was the type where this was like my coffee in the morning. So I always had
Fuel.
a job, my fuel.
Yeah.
I always had a job. I always had my own place. And so that kind of kept me a little bit more grounded.
What kind of jobs were you working?
So I worked for a pediatrician. And this pediatrician actually delivered me. And so when I knew I wanted to get into I wanted to be a nurse. And so I wanted to get into nursing and just this whole thing. And so I was like, well, where do I start? And so I called the guy that delivered me and I just said, are you guys hiring? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, perfect. They knew who I was because the girls had been there since day one. So it was like a family type of environment.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
And you're just tweaking?
And I'm just tweaking, but like not crazy. Like I would use in the morning, like it was just like my coffee to wake up.
Yeah.
I'd go to work and then I'd come home on my lunch break, do a little bit more and then go back. And then after work, I wouldn't usually use because
You were kind of controlling it. You had it under control.
I had it under control. Yeah. Until I didn't.
Until you didn't.
Until I didn't.
I understand.
Yep. And so, but that went on for a long time. I worked there for about 10 years.
Wow. Tweaking the whole time?
The whole time. Not a day went by.
This is like all throughout your 20s? Wow.
If I didn't have it, I wouldn't go to work because I could not stay awake.
I understand.
Does
that mean that you were working during the day, but also staying up late at night and just going days and days? Or
No. So I was
sleeping too.
I was sleeping. Yeah. Because if I didn't sleep, like what would usually happen in the beginning, like I would, of course, stay awake.
Yeah.
And, but then once I kind of like figured out the recipe, if you will, like the perfect recipe of like too much, when's too much and when's not enough type of situation, I would sleep. And then I found Xanax and then it was like,
Yeah, they kind of work together.
Oh, 100%.
Hand in hand.
So
how was your appearance? Like, did you look like a tweaker chick?
Absolutely not. Like this was like my whole thing. I was this on the outside, this nice, sweet.
Yeah, you were living a good double life.
100%.
Yeah.
But on the inside, it was, or on, the other side, there was alcohol and drugs and, a life that like nobody knew about.
Yeah.
So I did that for a very long time.
It's a long time, a decade.
Yeah, a decade. It was about 13 years actually.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I left that job and I went into dermatology and then I started to kind of like explore like a different, I was going to school this whole time also. So for nursing.
Wow.
Yeah. And so when I turned 30, I thought that like there was going to be like this aha moment. Like everybody's like, oh, your 30s are like the best. And I was like, I was so excited. And I woke up on my 30th birthday and I remember I called my best friend and I'm like, I feel exactly the same. She's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? At this point, I was starting to like lose my mind. Like the drugs were completely starting to take over my life. And I started to notice like they were consuming me more than anything else.
How so?
My life was more about drugs than anything else. Before I could kind of control it and it would be like,
were you late for stuff?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Always. I wasn't late for work, but like everything else, I was always late, like hours, and so, or I just wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
I just would be like, not today. Like, I'm just not going to show up, because I wanted to get high. So I moved in to a bedroom that my girlfriend owned a house and I moved into her master bedroom and I was 30 years old and I was just like, kind of really like, I knew that I either needed to make a change or like something needed to happen. Right. And so I was dating this guy and he calls me, he's like, hey, let's go cliff jumping. And I was like, let's go, this is just my personality.
Yeah.
Like I'm all in. So we go cliff jumping and, in Corona Del Mar. And the last time I jumped, we jumped about 5 or 6 times, and you have to swim out to this rock. The last time I jumped, I hit the bottom, and I shattered my foot and my back. And I didn't know this at the time that my back was shattered, but when I came up, like I was treading water, and I didn't really like it hurt, but I didn't know the severity of the situation. So basically what happened is I couldn't work anymore because I was completely laid up. I had to have emergency surgery. Like I was broken, my whole body.
Wow.
And I remember my girlfriend taking me home from having the surgery on my foot, and she looked at me, and she and I had used together, and she's my best friend still to this day. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? I think it's time.
Time for what?
Time to stop.
Stop getting high?
Yep. And she said, nobody would know.
Nobody would know what?
If you stopped. Nobody would, because you're going to be healing from this.
Yeah.
If you gained a little bit of weight, nobody.
Well, was she clean?
Yes.
Oh, she had gotten clean?
She had gotten clean. She met a guy and she had gotten clean.
Oh, so she was making the suggestion because she's now clean and it's time to get her best friend.
She just saw me completely spiraling and she was like, this would be the perfect time for you to
Had you guys talked about stopping before?
We both had. Oh yeah. Her and I used together.
So part of you knew it was a problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a big problem. At this point, if you were around me, everybody knew, but I didn't think they did. That's the delusion that we go through. Mm-hmm. And I was still wanting to live this double life. And so she looked at me and she said, this would be time to be like, this would be a good time for you to stop.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, you're right. And in my inside though, I was like, oh no, we're not stopping. We're not ready even a little bit.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't work, it was, time. Like I started drinking in the morning, using all day. And I spiraled quickly. Mm-hmm. I ended up moving back
while
home.
being handicapped.
Well, yeah. So I had like a cast, but I was out till all hours of the night.
Oh, you were going out. You weren't
I was
just
going.
staying laid up in the house.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was going out. I didn't care. Crutches, that didn't stop me. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Hanging out with people that I shouldn't be hanging out with. Like
what kind of people?
Like the druggies, like the ones that like come out only at night.
Yeah.
Those type of people.
The shady ones.
The shady people. Yes. And I was doing things that made me feel awful inside, and I never did anything I never sold my body for drugs, none of that, but it came close.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I checked myself before that all happened. But there was this one time where I was sitting in this guy's RV, this tweaked out motorhome, and he had this girl next to him. It was his girlfriend, and she took this syringe, and I didn't know what this was, and I had been tweaking for a decade now, but I had never seen anybody shoot up.
Meth.
So I thought it was meth, and her reaction, immediately after she shot up, she just fell over, and I thought she was dead. And I started to hysterically cry.
What was it? Heroin?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And this is before fentanyl was a big thing. So it wasn't, but
people don't even really shoot fentanyl much these days. But that's why I said heroin.
Oh yeah, because fentanyl, you would just die, right?
No, you can do it, but it's typically used in other ways.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it could definitely
too much, right?
Make you overdose a lot faster. Mm-hmm. Many people are overdosing from smoking it.
Right.
So
this is before fentanyl was really a thing, but it scared me so badly, and that I immediately was okay, this is I knew that I needed to make a change. This is not what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I ended up moving back home with my mom, and I was sitting in my bedroom one day, and I had a meth pipe in one hand, and I had a bottle of vodka in the other, and I just was I was just a shell of a person, I wasn't working. I had a month left of disability before it started to run out. So I was almost 31 at this point. And all of a sudden I had this intuitive thought that just said, if you don't stop this, you will never be the same. And it wasn't so much the thought, but the feeling that came with it that scared me so badly. I dropped everything I had. I walked out of my bedroom, and I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, I need help. And she looked at me with just hatred in her eyes. And she said, Allison, you got yourself into this mess. You get yourself out. And as devastating as that was to hear, I knew why she said it. She was done with me. Everybody was done with me. They were done with the lying and the cheating and the stealing. And it just I was ripping everyone of joy.
Right.
And I was just bringing chaos wherever I went. And so I didn't know that there was something called Alcoholics Anonymous. I just didn't really, I knew about it, but I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And so they say in our program that, this is a program of attraction.
Right.
And that's exactly how I got into it. I became attracted to somebody, of course, a male that was in the program, but he had something I wanted, and it was peace. And so I was a surfing guy that I surfed a lot. And,
you did?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I started surfing on surf team in high school. And so
They had that in Huntington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just kept doing it, you know, and I'm grateful because it gave me a lot of great memories and connected me with a lot of great people. And this one guy, he was sober and I knew it. And I finally at this point was so broken and so willing and so ready that I just looked at him and I said, I need help. And he said, okay, come, let's go to a meeting. And that's when my life completely changed. You know, I completely gave my alcoholism to something bigger than me. And
So you didn't go to treatment or nothing, huh?
so I went to detox.
Oh.
Yeah, rewind a little bit. I looked at him and I was like, I need help. And he was like, okay, like call the number on the back of your insurance card. You have insurance, because I had this broken foot situation.
Yeah.
And so I went to Hoag Hospital. They had a detox center over there.
Yes.
Stayed there for
I
7
know their
days.
chemical dependency unit very well.
Yes. So I had at this point started to take so much Xanax a day
Yeah.
to just kind of level out the meth.
Yes.
That I couldn't just stop taking
No,
it.
you have to get detox for that. It could be deadly.
Yes. So they put me on something called Klonopin. Which
Another
is
benzo.
100%, you know, and these doctors, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but if I could do it different, I would have, because the first year of my sobriety, I was still on Klonopin because they were the way that they had to titrate me,
Sure.
you know, and then, it just, I wasn't getting that mental clarity that you get when you become sober. I was still very clouded and doing things that, you know, I probably wouldn't have normally done if I had clarity.
What do you mean? Like, what kind of things?
Like I met another guy.
Seems to be
It's a pattern.
theme.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's a pattern. You know, I grew up with a father who never chose me.
Yeah.
You know, he never chose me, and so that's all I've ever wanted is to just be chosen by a man. And so I met this guy in AA, and he checked a few boxes. And I had felt like I was so behind from my drinking and using.
Yeah.
And all my friends were married and having babies, and I was like, I wanted to do that. And so I met my ex-husband, and he checked a few of those boxes. He was ready to do the thing, and I was like, let's go. You know, so we met. I was 10 months sober when I met him. And so we got married, and we had we had a baby, and it was rough. You know, when I chose my ex-husband, I chose what was familiar to me, which was my mom and my dad. Usually, I guess the people say you choose like one or the other.
Yeah.
No, well, I don't do anything like that. I go all in. So I chose both.
Yeah. All in one person.
So all in one person. So he was my mom and my dad. But when I met him, he was sober also. And so he had a little bit of, I think he had like 10 years when I met him, and I had 10 months, right? They say don't get into a relationship at that time. And I'm going to tell you why I think this is. It's because you're not ready. You've got so much more growing to do. You've got so much more to experience in your just emotional sobriety.
You have to be able to find yourself in order to find someone else that's good for you. But even so, like
Agreed. That's a whole...
I've dated in recovery with a lot of time myself and the other person a lot of time.
Yep. And it
still didn't work.
100% the same.
Shit happens.
It does.
Yeah.
You know, but at that point in my sobriety, you know, like if I would have had a little bit more direction, like it would have been a little bit different. But, you know, I was in my own will and I wanted what I wanted. I wanted to be chosen, and I wanted to get married and want to have a baby. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And you were godless.
Oh, I was completely godless.
Yeah.
I had given my alcoholism to something that was higher than me.
Yeah.
But that was it. You know, money and men and like anything that I wanted. So it was completely just me running the show.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I just ran my life into the ground in sobriety. You know, at year 5.
What do you mean, like in like misery?
Yeah, like I just got real. Well, so what happened is we got together and we started to do life, and then he started to become really controlling.
Yeah.
And I at the end of our marriage, like I wasn't allowed to eat certain foods. I wasn't allowed to go to meetings. And I think why he was acting this way is because he came from such brokenness, right? And so his whole life, he felt so out of control, like in his like childhood, because people were doing things to him. So when he found that he could control a situation, he just alcoholically controlled it. And that's people, places, and things. And that was me. And so I wasn't allowed to go to meetings. You know, I was, especially after we had our son. And so I was completely...
Like he would straight up tell you can't go to meetings?
100%.
Just like that?
Just like that. And he was like, you need to be home. And I looked at him with
And he wasn't obviously doing any of that.
No.
Yeah.
He had slowly stopped. Life started to kind of get busy. And so we kind of like, meetings are not a priority as much anymore. You have a newborn and but you can't keep that AA life if you don't keep showing up.
So you didn't feel supported.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Oh no. And so I wasn't ever. And so I started to see that I just became really, really, really miserable. Mm-hmm. And one day I had this thought, and this thought said, you should just, you're an awful mother. Mm. And it was like loud, and it was a thought, it was like evil. And immediately, like, I just started crying, and I was like, I gotta leave. I gotta get out. Like, if I don't get out of here and like leave this marriage, my son was about 3 when
I was just going to ask you how old
he
your
was
kid
about
was.
3. If I don't get out of here and I don't leave this marriage, I will kill myself because I was just that miserable. During all of this, my parents were in and out of our lives, and my mom still was very, very bad alcoholic, had been in and out of treatment. My dad is very just, entitled, narcissistic, abusive verbally. I mean, I've been called since I was a little girl, a cunt and a bitch, all just normal vocabulary.
That's not good.
No. And so this is all I knew.
Yeah.
When I was 8 months pregnant, my ex-husband spit in my face, and because I wanted to go to the hospital, I needed to do something. And he was like, I don't know. I don't remember the fight, but like, that's just the type of stuff that I've dealt with on like a daily basis.
My God.
So when I had that thought of, if you don't, you should, immediately I knew like I had to get out. Something needed to change. And I started to feel this pull in my heart. And this pull in my heart was God. And God was completely telling me, leave. Like what I kept hearing was move, move. And I was like, move out of the way. Like what, move so you can get to my husband's heart and change him. Like, where am I moving?
A lot of confusion.
A lot of confusion. And that's how you know things are not from the Lord, is when they're confusing. And so I finally mustered up the courage, and God had made these situations happen, a new job and like all of it. And I finally, I filed for divorce twice already before this. Like I had already filed twice. I'd sold my wedding ring. Like I was done. And then the third time I didn't file. I just left. I finally had mustered up the courage because I had been beaten down by my ex-husband, by my family, and they had now started to become really, really close. And I had asked him, I said, they're not safe for me. Can we please like not invite them over all the time? And he was like, that's the only family you have. You make it work. Like you make sure that you make them
totally
important.
found a version of them within.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, anyway, so I finally moved out. And for the first time in my life, I had found something called peace. I had my own little apartment, and it was just Parker and I, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was wonderful. And my ex-husband and I were going to counseling, and I told him, I said, if we don't try to like do this like as we're separated, we're gonna kill each other. And so I don't want that to happen. So I had peace, and he had lured me back and stolen that from me yet again. He was saying he was going to do all the things and he was going to change.
Like he wanted you back?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I had to try everything. So I went back one last time. And immediately I knew, he moved me completely out of that apartment. He moved me back home, and then he started putting me on all this medication, telling me that I was crazy, telling me that my hormones were off, and it's me. I'm the problem. And I remember one day telling the doctor that was like prescribing me all these meds, and I looked at him and I said, he's like, none of these are working. Like we've tried you on like 10 different meds. And he's like, why do you think that is? And
Medications for mental health.
Right. I said, because this is not about my mental health. This is situational. The minute that I get out of this situation, I'm going to be just fine. And he looked at me. He's like, then get out. And that was
Doctor said that?
Yeah. And that's
What
exactly
a great realization to just like even know that and
right?
rise above.
It was completely God, because I have been completely taught my whole life that like I can't trust myself.
Yeah.
I can't trust my own judgment. Like my thoughts are not safe, and I am wrong, and I am all the awful things. Cunt, bitch, liar, cheat, steal, all of it. And so when I told him that and somebody validated me, that's all I needed.
The doctor.
The doctor. So as I was trying to leave, my ex-husband and I were like sharing our home, and he finally, things were just so bad that I took him to work one day, and he put his hands on me in front of our son. Never has this happened before with him. And I knew this was my out. It was my way to, I looked at him and I said, if you don't leave the house and give me some time to think, I will call the police. And he was like, call them. I don't care. I mean, he just didn't have any cares in the world. I said, do you understand what will happen if I do that? Like, you're going to go to jail. Like, there's like, and he said, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I just was like, what is this helping? You know, like there's no solution here. So I did. I called the police, did a, emergency protective order. They came, they took all of our weapons, and it was just a whole thing. But I did it because I knew this was the only way that I would get him away from me for long enough to figure out what to do. So when I left the second time, I had no place to go. I was just completely like, I don't know what to do. And so I moved in with my mom, which against my,
More toxicity.
more toxicity, but it's like leaving one poison for another. But I had to get away from the poison that was killing me to go to the poison that was just going to make me more sick. You know, it was pick the lesser of two evils. I lived with her for about 6 months. And while I was there, her and my dad have been divorced now for like 30 years, they're almost 40 years. And they have this but they're very close, and they're both very sick. My dad uses her for money, and he buys her alcohol and will come like make her dinner and schmooze her. And he doesn't give her shit about drinking.
After all these years?
After all these years, it's just, and after all of the police encounters that they've had, my dad's been to jail multiple times for domestic violence on my mom and myself. And it's just a lot, too much to kind of really go into at that point. But this is what happened at age 40 was a complete turning point of my whole life. I had completely turned my everything over to God at this point, because I knew that, like, I felt the pull. It was like a pull on my heart. And it was God telling me, I am the way, like, come with me. And I can't explain it. It's just a feeling for me. And so as I'm living with my mom and I'm sharing my son half the time, I get into this accident. This guy in a Tesla hits me one day. It's November 2024. And this guy gets out of his car, and he doesn't speak any English. And he calls these two other guys, big guys. And I'm like this like tiny little thing, and they start to kind of come at me, all three of them, and they don't speak English. And I just get really, really nervous. And so I'm like, who do I call? Like, what do I do? I'm very newly single. And I'm like, I can't call my ex-husband. He won't come. So I call my dad.
Jeez.
The only other person I can think of, I call my dad and I say, Dad, can you come? And he says, yes. So he comes. We talk to the guy, figure that all out, go back to my mom's house. And my dad starts to just get in on me. He just starts to call me, you're just pathetic, and you're such trash, you little bitch. And I was in therapy at this point, and I looked at him, and my therapist said, you need to lay down some boundaries.
Yeah.
When people start talking to you like this and emotionally abusing you, you need to say, you need to please stop.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, this is not, you're not allowed to talk to me this way anymore. I'm 40 years old. And if you're going to continue, there's the door. And he stood up, and he's about 350 pounds. Big guy.
Wow.
Really big guy. Yeah. 6 foot. He stood up and he said, what the fuck did you say to me? And I said, stop. And I was probably a little bit sassy. I've been pushed around my whole life. And at this point, I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop talking to me like that. There's the door if you're not going to stop. And he looked at me and he said, and he just came over, just charged me and took his stomach and just like belly bumped me. And I flew across the room onto the couch. And as he came over to me, he like raised his hand like he was going to, just like hammer me. And I looked at him and I said, just do it. And he strangled me instead. And my mom is in her bedroom, completely just drunk, laying in her bed. And after he was done, I told him to get the fuck out. And if he ever came back, I'd call the police. Intuitively, I didn't think to call the police because the police never did anything when I was little. They never saved me.
Yeah.
You know, so like, why am I going to call them now? But that was it for me. You know, the abuse and the violence. I mean, I started to have like awful night terrors.
And this is in recovery at 10 years sober?
This is at almost 10 years sober. Yeah. So I looked at my mom and I said, I don't know if you heard what just happened. And she's like in tears. Of course she heard. And she just doesn't have the strength to get out of bed, nor can she because she's so wasted. And I said, I don't know if you heard what just happened, but I know this is your house. I need you to promise me he'll never come back. And she said, oh my God, I promise. At this point,
So now in comparison to what happened to you when you were a little girl, she was actually understanding.
She was so drunk that it scared her, you know, and my mom is just in complete fear all the time, you know? And so it scared her. She heard it and she knew what was happening, but she couldn't see it. But she knew. We've been through this with him.
Yes, she's used to it.
Yeah, she's used to it. And so she just looked at me and she's crying. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I said, that's okay. But all you have to do, I don't have any place else to go right now. So please just don't let him come back. Knowing full well that that's not how this goes.
Yeah.
You know, I went and I purchased a firearm. I started to take a CCW class. I was in complete fear for my life because of him. And at this point, I thought if he comes back, like he's going to kill me this time. Like there's not going to be a next time. And I have a 4-year-old little boy that deserves to have his mom around.
Yeah.
So I was in recovery. You know, we go to meetings and meet people, and this is just a part of my story, and this guy is a part of my story. And so I met this guy in a meeting, and this is like 3 days after my dad strangled me, and he came up to me and he was like, "Can I have your number?" And I said, "No, I'm not dating. I am broken, and like, just please leave me alone." And he said, "I don't want to date you. I just want to be your friend." And at that point, I had just been so beat down that I just said, okay, like I give. I could really use a friend right now. Little did I know that was not his intention, you know, and so we started to date, and for a while, like I wanted to be rescued. I've always wanted to be rescued. I think that every girl who grows up in this type of atmosphere just wants to be the knight in shining armor to come and save her. And so we kind of were doing life, and I wasn't really around my mom a lot because I was a lot with him a lot. And we meddled our kids together, and we went on vacations to Hawaii, and it was wonderful until it wasn't, you know, and it just didn't work. But there was one day that I called my mom to ask her about something random, and my dad answered her cell phone.
He was over there again.
Yeah. And immediately I knew, I was like, if I go back there, he'll kill me. So the guy I was dating came home. I told him what had happened. We got the police over, and we just went and grabbed as much stuff of mine and Parker's as we could. To
get out of
there. This is just one thing after another, you know, it's like chaos. It's just fight or flight for forever. You can't heal when you're in fight or flight. You know, you just can't. Right after my dad strangled me, I was going to meetings all the time because this is where I find my solution. Right?
Yeah, I would see you.
Yeah. And there's a meeting hall called Saddleback Valley Fellowship.
Yes.
That I would go to. I mean, when I first left my marriage, I was in 5 meetings a day and I would just raise my hand and cry, right? I was just so broken and so desperate to get this fellowship that I knew was going to help me save my life. I didn't have any fellowship. I had God, but I didn't have any of the other things. You know, I needed to redo. I didn't have a sponsor. I had nothing. So I started going to Saddleback, and this is like October of 2024. So right about a month before my dad had strangled me, and I really started to dive all in, and I really started to just do what I knew I needed to, you know, share and
back to basics,
back to what we know works.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I had the women of the program surrounding me and lifting me up, and I was so grateful. You know, when you come into these rooms, they're supposed to be a safe place, and we all have our own stories and we all have our own trauma. And there's a lot of people that are in our program that don't do the work and they don't get healed and they just are around.
Yep.
So one night I was at Saddleback. I was at a meeting and there's a girl there and I have known her, but I don't talk to her. You know, we just knew who each other was. Mm-hmm. And she just was looking at me, like, just staring me down.
Oh, I know who you mean.
Yeah. And and I've never been able to talk about this. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to completely say well, I can't say her name because that breaks her anonymity. Anyways, but it's important that people know who she is.
She's known to terrorize people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she just was looking at me from across the room, just like, and I just could feel it. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
You know? So my gut was like screaming at me. Mm-hmm. Like it was like, leave. You need to go. You need to leave now. And I'm like, leave this meeting? Like I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't let anybody chase me out of a meeting. Mm-hmm. So I stayed. And after the meeting, she had left in the middle. After the meeting, I started talking to some people, and my gut was just like getting worse and worse and worse. And I was almost going to be physically ill. Like I was just my intuition was just like mayday, like anxiety, like panic, and I had no idea why. And so I was talking to this guy, and I was like, you know what? I have to stop you in the mid conversation. I just need to go home. I don't know why, but I just need to go home. Mm-hmm. I get in my car that I had just purchased, and I start driving to my mom's house. And all of a sudden, I'm driving down the Los Alisos Boulevard. It's about 11 o'clock at night, and this car comes straight up next to me and starts to
try to run you off the road.
Yep. And the tinted windows, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, I call 911. The 911 operator's like, can you pull over? And she's like, at least if you pull over, you won't get into an accident. I'm talking to her through the Bluetooth. I'm like, yeah. So I pull over, and this car pulls right in front of me and stops. I just bought my car. And so she's like, put it in park and shut off the engine. The cops are coming. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And this car pulls right in front of me and stops, throws their car in park. This girl opens the door and starts flying straight to my car. I am in just like complete panic. The 911 operator's on the Bluetooth, and I said, she's running to me. And before I could lock the doors, this lady takes my door and just rips it open. And she looks at me, she's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I just looked at her I just froze, panic. The 911 operator starts screaming at her through my Bluetooth saying, ma'am, don't you touch her. The cops are on their way. When I looked at this person, there was just complete darkness in their eyes. Remind you, this was 3 days after my dad had strangled me. Mm-hmm. So I have just been
traumatized.
Traumatized is like a fucking understatement.
Yeah.
And so the cops came, and I have something to tell me, remain cool, remain calm, because if you don't, they're going to think that you're the reason this is all happening.
Yeah.
I didn't know this, but this woman that had, tried to kill me was on trial for being an accomplice to murder.
Yes. That's also like, she's been known for that type of stuff more than once.
Yeah. So, and this is just a story of my life. People just want to fuck with me. And I'm just, at this point, I'm just done. I'm just done. So, this is why I go and I get my seat, and nothing happened to her. Like the cops, nothing. Like they said, well, what do you want us to do? I said, well, I would like you to like do your job, but I wanted to be like not sassy. Yeah. I was like, what do you think we should do? And I said, she's on trial for murder. Like she's not a good person. And they're like, listen, she didn't do anything to you. So like, there's not much we can do.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I had to completely leave that club because it wasn't safe and go to a safer place.
Yeah.
And that's where I still am, to get my medicine every day. But there, it's just been my experience that like this world is just not safe for
You've
women.
been through some shit.
Yeah, but we rise above.
We absolutely rise above. And what's crazy is like, after hearing all this and the way that I know you, you're so well-rounded, so well put together. You've been through some shit. Like, so, and God, it's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You know what the beauty of it is, though? That you didn't pick up a drink or a drug through it all.
Not
And you didn't want to live for a while, and you're here you are, you're living. Your heart's beating, your lungs are breathing, and you're a mother for your
That's right.
boy.
That's right.
And you continue to keep showing up, and I love that about you. And that, God, I'm sorry that you've been through so much. That's a lot.
Hurt people.
Absolutely, they do.
You know,
But healed people heal people.
That's right. And so that's the purpose. That's why I'm here. I am supposed to be a safe place for women because I never had a safe place.
Good, because there's a lot of women that God will place in your path if I'm sure God already has.
Oh, that he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
I've really been enjoying listening to all this, even with all that's gone on, because I love how you have worked through it and continue to. And I know that right now you have a mentor in your life that is a God person.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah. What was the moment you realized you needed to choose yourself and your safety?
The moment I had that thought that said, you should just... That exact moment, I went to my ex-husband and I said, you need to take every weapon that's in this house and hide it. Hide it from me and don't tell me where it is. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I completely felt crazy at that time. And so I knew I didn't trust my thoughts, but our thoughts are just that. They're just thoughts. Mm-hmm. You have to be stronger than your thoughts because your thoughts control your feelings, which control your actions. So if you can flip your thoughts, it will change the way you feel, and then you'll change the way you act.
Love it. How did faith help you survive when you felt completely alone?
About year 8, when all of this was going on and they were putting me on the medication and the doctor looked at me, I knew that there was no med that was going to help me. It was just, and I knew what I needed to do was move. Mm-hmm. So it was that holding on to just an ounce of just, there's something that is pulling me in a direction. And it was God, just telling me, you've got to move. And I just wasn't trusting. I wasn't listening. But I still had faith that there was something that was pulling me in a different direction. And then the minute that I listened to it, my whole life changed.
What does healing actually look like after domestic violence? Not the Instagram version, but the real one.
Oh, so I heal on Instagram. I heal on TikTok. I heal out loud. I post videos of the crying and the sobbing and the pain, because it's important that people see that it's not all butterflies and rainbows. You have to go through it, and to go through it, you have to feel it and you have to process it, and you have to tell that little person inside of you that they're okay, because you've got them and God's got you. And that's how I've been told to heal and shown by other people.
I like that you're showing emotion.
Yeah, it's
because the way I usually see you, you carry yourself with so much dignity, and I like that you understand and that you're working through it.
Mm-hmm. Still, every day.
Okay, so what's the hardest part about speaking openly after years of silence? I mean, I must say, you've said a lot today, and I'm just wondering, if those people that have affected you see this,
Yeah. I hope they do.
Oh, okay.
And if they do, this is my story. Mm-hmm. They have their own, and they are more than welcome to tell it. If I don't share this, I'm never going to help anybody else.
Well, there's a lot of people that go through this type of stuff that are in silence because they fear for their lives, or they fear for people not believing them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been happening to you your whole life.
My whole life. And my whole life I've been told not to say anything and not to trust myself. But it's God inside me telling me, giving me the strength.
You know what sucks about, I was going to say, you felt like in situational stuff, example, like when the girl was going crazy on you and tried to pull you out of the car and all that stuff. I used to hate cops. When I was a drug dealing, drug using type of person, I was ducking and dodging and always trying to avoid the police. Then in like sobriety, I started to gain a respect for first responders, for law enforcement, because I know at the end of the day they're doing their job.
Yeah.
And if they're doing a good job and they're protecting, they're here to protect and serve, right? Like us, the public. Then I really need to like not hate cops. I need to like cops. I have friends now that are cops, right? But I think that they're limited in the capacity of what they can do in situations because they've been under scrutiny. They've been placed in a. They've had a lot of people go after them as a department, but for doing their job. So that's why like we feel at our wits' end. There's been countless times when I've had to have police involvement in certain situations where I feel like, what the fuck was that? Like if you guys used to bust me for like
half the amount of
having
stuff.
a seed of weed like in my weed bag, and now it's like this guy's clearly squatting in this house and acting out, and he's out of his mind, and you guys won't even remove him.
Yeah.
How do you rebuild trust in yourself after living in fear?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow. Slowly and with practice. Every day, you have to tell yourself that like your thoughts are safe and you're safe.
You don't hate yourself, do you?
No, not at all. I love who I am.
Do you do positive affirmations?
Every day I do. I have to, completely tell, like, because my thoughts are dark, right? My thoughts like to tell me that,
Still?
like, oh yeah, super, super dark. My thoughts tell me I'm not worthy, that like, but I have to immediately, when I hear those thoughts, I have to say, no, we're not doing that. And I have to ask God to remove them because those are my character defects.
Do you like your friendship with me?
I love my friendship.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. You are worthy. And if you value what I say, I see a lot in you and I believe in you. And you are worthy. The way you show up for your son, I've watched it. And that means more to me than anything. Anything. Because if you didn't and you let your darkness override, then that young man, that little kid, would be surrounded by darkness. Sort of like somebody else I know that had a lot of toxicity in her life. What misconceptions do people have about leaving abusive relationships?
I think that there's like a fear. It's just fear. The misconception is just fear. You have to, if you want different results, you have to do different things. And that's scary. Mm-hmm. But what I want everyone to know, especially like women that are listening to this, is that you can do it. Everybody is going to tell you that you're wrong and that you are doing it wrong and that, they don't want you to win. I want you to win. And I know that you can do it. And so you just have to do it.
Absolutely. What does one day at a time truly mean when you're healing from trauma?
It means one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. However, whatever that looks like. Sometimes I would have to call my sponsor every single hour.
The one you have right now?
The one I have right now. God removed my mom from my life because she was not a positive. She's hurt. Mm-hmm. And when God removes, he replaces with better. Mm-hmm. And God completely put this woman in my life.
You know what I really love? Well, she's a motherly type.
Oh, she's so great.
She's a great lady. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I've always loved her. And I love the way that she
chooses me.
Yeah, she shows up for lots of people.
Yes, she does.
Something that stands out in this whole conversation is that as you were speaking, with all things considered and everything that you've been through, you have an understanding for how your dad is, how your mom is, how your ex-husband is. There's some form of compassion from the way that you express yourself because, I think this is people. The reason I think we get along so well is we're on a certain frequency and a certain wavelength.
Yes.
And we've recognized that about each other. And I'm not saying we're above anyone.
No.
But we certainly can be compassionate to understanding that the reason that somebody may be abusive with their words, with their hands, with their emotions is because they've been through some shit.
Right.
So if they've been through some shit, that like what it's to be expected that they're going to act a certain like shitty
Yeah.
and not be nice in many areas of their lives. Now, another thing that really stands out that I very much relate with you is that when we've been through some shit, because I've been through some shit.
Yeah,
Right?
you
I've been
have.
in very traumatic relationships. Tumultuous is like an understatement. And very much the same thing, seeking the validation because, what is the old song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places?
Yeah, that's right.
Like basically staying with toxicity, painting red flags green, and
Yep.
thinking that maybe they're going to change or maybe I have the ability to change them or I can make them better, which is codependency at its finest,
Yep.
right? But once we understand them for who they are, we can let them be who they are without being in our lives. I mean, obviously you have to be to a certain extent in your ex's life because you have a son together.
Yes.
But I like that you broke away from that. I had to break away from an extremely unhealthy relationship. I mean, this is at 10 years sober. Some shit happened that law enforcement was involved. I did not, like I was abused physically, mentally, verbally, and definitely this person tried to taint my name in many different ways. And but now, like I see that person every once in a while in passing, and I pray for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I let them be who they are, and they've had their soul is dark,
Right. Dark.
very dark, right? And I feel for them. I want to be compassionate, but I just don't want them in my perimeter.
Do you remember about 6 months ago the message I sent you just out of the blue?
Yes, I do.
What did that message say?
Well, if it's the one that I think it is,
It says, "You are a light.
oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
You are such a light." And there are so many people that just want to steal our light.
Well, I knew what circles you'd been hanging out with,
Yeah.
and I knew that there were. I'm not for everybody,
And neither am I.
and there's some people that hate my guts.
Yeah.
And that's okay because again, I don't want to like label them as being sick. Perhaps they carry a certain sickness within themselves. There are people that they don't enjoy other people's goodness or
Right.
success
Yes.
and I just try to be real, right? Like with people, and sometimes that the truth hurts. And when the truth hurts and you tell someone the truth, they feel exposed. They feel like you're putting them down. And I've done everything I could to not be condescending, patronizing to those people. But instead, what they do is they come and they congregate together, and then they have this whole campaign of fuck that guy, and he's a piece of shit. And really, I still try to look at their good qualities when we were involved in some capacity in each other's lives of the goodness within them. So I will even pray for them. I've even made amends to one of them just to, and I know that they got in your ear, and I know that they said some shit, but they say it all comes out in the wash.
It sure does.
Right?
Look at us now.
I mean, for sure.
You know, that the right people will choose you.
Absolutely.
And there's one thing I want to
And you are a light too. I want you to know that.
Thank you. I told my son about 6 months ago as well. He came home one day and he said, or came to my house one day and he said, "Mommy," I said, "Yeah, bud." And he said, "Daddy says you're a bad parent."
It's
And
horrible.
I just looked at him and I said, "You know what? That's okay, buddy." I said, "Because it's not about what Daddy says or does, but it's how Mommy makes you feel inside."
I love that.
That matters the most.
See, and you didn't have to trash talk Daddy.
Of course not, but that's the whole thing. It's not about what people say or do. We're not for everyone, but it's how people make us feel inside. You know?
Absolutely. Last question. How has sharing your story changed the way you see your own strength?
Oh my gosh. So, it's so crazy because when you share about it, it takes the power out of it. When you talk about it, it gives this sense of freedom
Right.
that like is unexplainable.
Right.
So
it takes the negative power out of it, but it becomes a new power.
it calls it empowered.
Yeah,
you know,
total empowerment.
And it's and the more that I dive into this whole journey, you know, is the more empowered I feel, and the more that, you know, the women just that need help like come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And that's what I know I am. I'm supposed to be a safe place for women.
Absolutely. So in that case, let's talk about this.
Yes.
If there are women out there that are struggling and they get something out of this and they want to connect with you, how can they find you? What's your social media handles?
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok or Instagram.
What's your TikTok?
My TikTok is Allison Smith. So it's Allison, ALLISON _ then Smith, SMITH, and then 5 underscores. So ________.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Allison Smiths out there. And then my Instagram is the same. You know, so please reach out to me. I am here to let you know that you are not alone.
That's a lot of underscores.
I know. There's a lot of Allison Smith.
If y'all follow me on TikTok,
Yes.
you can find her, or my Facebook, Pej's Recovery Corner, or just Pej Man. And then on top of that, my Instagram, just if all those underscores were hard to remember.
Yes.
Or you can just contact me and I'll put you in touch with her if you're a safe person.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really enjoyed our conversation today. This was deep, really, really deep, and really good stuff. It needed to be heard. I just hope that you're going to be safe through it all.
I 100% will be, because God's got me.
Good.
You know?
I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Pej, I love you. Thank
love
you
you
so
too.
much for this.
Namaste. I appreciate you
Same.
so much. Well, that was a great episode. I mean, wow. Very powerful story. I'm sure that some people might listen to something like that and the first thing that comes to their mind is victimhood. But as I was just listening, I was thinking there's so much that goes on in certain people's lives, and sometimes for some reason, God places very unhealthy situations or people into people's lives for us to be able to try to work through it, live through it, and get on the other side of it. I could very much relate to her. I mean, outside of the fact that she's a good friend, when I listen to things like that, I just love the resilience and being able to get on the other side of it and come out of it. And as I had mentioned to her, I love the way that she's shows up as a mother for her son and shows up for so many women. I hope that this inspires anybody that's out there that is suffering in silence. And please do not hesitate to contact me or her if you would like to talk with her. And if you like this show, Primary Purpose with Pej, please subscribe. It is on all different platforms, but if you're on YouTube, subscribe, share, like, and we would love to hear from you in the comment section. Please leave comments. I will do my best to come and answer anybody's comments, no matter if you just are enjoying it or talking about the episode, or if you have questions, would like to be able to interact with you. Thanks again, and until we meet again, Primary Purpose with Pej. Love you.